The Mastering Local Marketing podcast helps local small business owners like you understand what it takes to successfully market your business and drive new customers through your doors. We provide actionable insights, interview leading experts and business owners in various industries, as well as provide tips and tricks we've uncovered over the last 25 years in the field. Whether you're starting your business or you've been at it for decades, let us provide you with the education and resources you need to grow your customer base. It's time to start mastering your local marketing. Here's your host, Matt Hansen.
Hey, everybody. This is the Mastering Local Marketing Podcast, episode 36. We record from the campus of Purdue Northwest in Hammond, Indiana, where Matt Hansen has been a digital marketing professor for a very long time. And I have my radio and TV and streaming media companies on the campus. Matt, 36, this is it, man. We're moving it along.
We're moving. We've got, we're actually doing a bunch this week, which is kind of fun. We've got a variety of different people and different outlooks, and it's been fun so far.
Yes, it has. Digital. What is the purpose? Why are we doing this?
We are basically just trying to make sure that small businesses, local businesses, have an opportunity to learn marketing without having to go to a class, without having to really kind of go out there and enroll in a university or anything like that. So we're trying to give bits and pieces, one nugget every single time we sit down. Really understand that people need help, and we're just trying to give you at least one thing that you can walk away with every single podcast.
Typically, we talk with influencers and really basic, maybe sometimes one-person businesses. This one has thousands of people working for it, right. But it is a local business, and actually, I believe, started right behind us here, right?
In Highland.
In Highland. And then they moved right here in the second locations, and that is Strachan Van Til Grocery Marts. And with us today is Renee Thometz. Thanks for coming in.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
How long you been at Strachan Van Til?
It'll be 5 years in December.
And your previous job was?
I was 25 years downtown. I did radio and event production, marketing director for B96, US 99, the whole CBS radio group that went to Odyssey, that is now, or Entercom, and now it's Odyssey. But I was marketing in that field.
Is this your coffee or mine?
It is not, but okay. I really like the picture from Munster basketball. Yeah,
this is my nephew Jack.
Oh, yeah.
And he hated basketball. They made him play, but he took a nice picture and gave me a coffee mug.
That's one of the best programs in Munster.
Yes, it is.
All my kids went through them, and I even coached one year, and we took third place. Yeah.
I've known Renee for a long time as, the marketer over at Strachan Van Til, and I did not know that you worked for B96. Mm-hmm. We sat down, and she's like, the sound's just not perfect, because you always had to get that right when you went out and did concerts. And I did not know that you coached basketball.
I did. It was my son's senior year, my oldest son Ryan, in 2018.
Tell us about Strachan Van Til. What is it?
Amazing is what it is right now. We are doing very well. We've got 23 locations.
23,
23, yep.
Okay.
We've got 22 Strachan Van Til, a Van Til, and then a Town and Country, actually. So, but no, we're doing very good. We have been around since early 1950s when Ernie Strack and Nick Van Til decided to join forces and start Strachan Van Til in Highland, and we have been growing ever since.
So one of the things I wanted to talk about for our listeners of small to medium businesses, are most of them, is about the branding of Strachan Van Til. So you're talking about the 1950s, you're talking about all over the place here in Northwest Indiana, even into Illinois, I believe, at one point. And you've got a certain brand, a certain image that you're trying to portray, and that makes a connection with local people. What is that brand and that image?
You know what? Our brand is trustworthiness. It's community. It's fresh product. It's grocery. It's philanthropy. We give back to the community in many, many ways. But our brand is, we're a full-service grocery store, and I don't think a lot of people know that. Obviously, we have groceries, but we also have our catering, and we have a full floral department who does weddings and school dances and funerals. You can go to the meat department and, like a butcher, get your meat cut. You can have seafood made. We have grab and go. We have meals made easy. We are truly a full service grocery store.
Man, a lot of the stuff we talk about is kind of niche stuff, is one thing. Now, this is a brand that portrays trustworthiness, philanthropy, and tradition. And we have not talked that much about this kind of branding. Where does that fit into the digital milieu?
Well, I think, Strachan Van Til to me is an established brand, right? So we talk a lot about awareness and understanding where people are. I think Strachan Van Til has that awareness. It's been around for a long time. I remember, a lot of the people that live in our area have experiences with it through the years. So, whether it's myself or anybody else, I remember going to Strachan Van Til's when I was a kid. I remember, going to it yesterday, to get groceries and things like that. But it embodies kind of our area. I think the branding, a while back you guys did some in-store displays that were, made in Indiana kind of thing. It embraces who we are, right? And I think that is, you're not trying to be something that you're not, right? So you have these large brands, you have the Kroger and the Albertsons and like these huge brands that are out there that they're kind of, a much bigger, not focused on a certain area, but I feel like you've embodied the area of where we are. You incorporate that in. I think there's a couple other really good displays of that.
We are the hometown grocer, and we like to say we're the people in your neighborhood. I know when I'm shopping the stores, I run into my neighbor, I run into my mom, I run into kids I grew up with. I've been a region, my whole life. I grew up in Lansing. So when we moved to Munster, a lot of people stay in the region. So when you do go, grocery shopping, we truly are the people in your neighborhood. And it's kind of like, social hour sometimes, shopping.
So the brand is very important to the marketing. So when you're sitting out and you're trying to figure out where you're going to go and where you're going to spend and how you're going to put it out there, is brand top of mind?
It is top of mind. With the brand also, how we use our different platforms, our media platforms, is how we display the brand. That could either be, we do the 360 approach. Obviously, we are in store. We promote our brand in store. And that can be everything from our register screens to our posters to our shelf talkers, the signs you see from the ceiling. But then we also have our online approach. And as you know, digital, is taking over marketing. And with that, we promote our brand differently. You might see our reels, commercials, socials. We've got, commercials on television. But then we've also got the way that we portray our brand on site. Not just billboards, but, at a festival, you'll see our banners or you'll see staff members volunteering. Our brand is also, getting into the community and, making bags at the food bank or, volunteering at the Humane Society. So Strachan Van Til is more than just a brand. It is, it's an entity that has a lot of legs.
So you talk about a 360 approach. Matt, what's that mean to you?
Basically, it means you're everywhere and all, no matter what you're doing, every single touch point with the consumer, you are there. So you're part of the community. Once they come inside, you're still seeing the same branding and all of that. So, we call it an integrated marketing communications approach.
That's what I was. Yeah, same idea.
Same thing.
And you have to be, because, especially with us, our shoppers are all ages. And, the region is a very diverse region. Our Whiting store might have a different customer than our Crown Point store, than our Rensselaer store. So, with that being said, you have to know your audience and adapt to them. Some of our customers haven't adapted to digital, so we still have our weekly ads in print in store. We need print, we need digital, we need TV, streaming in order to touch all of our customers, because everybody uses different mediums to get the message.
So, Matt, a lot of times we're talking niche, and Matt's, we have I love his funnel, which is the awareness funnel, and then the consideration as you narrow, and then finally the close or customer is at the bottom there. And it's really easy to kind of break things down. But most of the time you are giving advice to people to do one thing, narrow down, hit your niche, this and that. This is exactly the opposite of that.
Yeah, I think, you're an established brand, which means you're going to get multiple different target audiences. Here's a funny story, right? So we go and we buy, the prepared chicken at the deli, right? So I live in St. John, and we go there, and many times we can't get the grilled one. So I asked one day, I said, why is there always fried and not grilled? And they said, it's the area. We don't sell as much grilled here. If you want grilled, go to Cedar Lake, which is literally 7 minutes away from us. And it's funny because I'll go to the Cedar Lake store and there's grilled if I want grilled. And so it's funny, you've figured, even something as small as the deli area has figured out the preferences of your customer base to, one, be more profitable. Obviously, you don't want to be throwing chicken away. But, it's an interesting aspect because you go to different places in Northwest Indiana and you can see there are different tastes. And I think you've hit that on the head. Obviously, your markets, what's selling and what isn't. And we could go into days for, what sells on store shelves. And
which is why, too, customers not notice, but there are times we version our ads. So, like on the front cover, if we have like a produce or a meat item that sells maybe, great for the south stores, but not so great in the north stores, we will, do a different version for our north stores and south stores for that reason. So, yes, we are very much in tune as to what sells. Some stores have more, maybe organic or ethnic, or it just depends on what that customer purchases.
So you're basically zoning.
Yep.
And just a little bit of history. Zoning was kind of pioneered by Howard over here at the Times, as he had your paper in Lansing, and then he also had all these Illinois papers, and there wasn't a crossover for a lot of the municipal government kind of stuff. So he learned how to zone South Holland versus different from Highland, and that's basically what you guys are doing.
Yeah.
So in terms of the tools that you use, how do you measure your impact?
I wrote these down because there's a lot and I didn't want to forget them. But so we've got quite a few KPIs. So first being, foot traffic. Is it, if we run a campaign or if we're doing marketing, is it increasing people, foot traffic to our store? And is basket size increasing? If you've got a product that, we run on the front cover and, it's not selling or it's not bringing people in, we can measure that. And, it might not run on the front cover again. We've got loyalty program signups. How many people are taking advantage of our loyalty program? We use QR codes a lot. So with all the signage that we do and with different campaigns that we do, we can, with the QR code, we can see where the customers are coming from, what campaign, they saw and took advantage of. So we always want to grow that database. So, how many signups. Online orders, e-commerce right now is huge for us, and we're still continuing to grow. So measuring campaigns, like we'll do free delivery, and we'll measure how many people took advantage of it. Did this increase, the weekly ad sales? So that's always a big one. Customer satisfaction, we use customer surveys for not only just the store in general, but for each department to let us know how your experience was at checkout in deli and floral. And then community engagement metrics. If we're at an event, how many people saw, our post on Facebook to come join us? Or if they went to an event, how many people said, oh, I'm here because, or just that we're there. So it depends on the campaign, on how we measure it. It's a little bit different depending on the medium that we use, but there's quite a few factors that go into play.
You sound exactly like Matt Hansen on saying all of that stuff right there. Doesn't it feel weird to hear somebody saying all the stuff that you say?
I am such a note person, and I wanted to make sure that we got all points across, which is why I brought some papers.
We've talked about, if you have a small business or a service business, tracking phone calls, people walking through your door. It can be as simple as literally just counting people as they walk through your door and checking it off on a piece of paper. It could be a laser beam that counts people, whatever it may be. But the idea is you have to have data to really understand what's working.
Yes,
and understand this. And if you don't, you could be promoting something on the front page of a flyer that isn't selling at all, and you know nothing better, right?
Yeah.
So I think you touched on a ton of metrics, and I think what we're trying to say to everyone is measure, 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 because you can make better decisions.
But that's what I think is the most exciting part right now in the age that we're living in is digital, because you are able to use the data that was not available even like 10, 15, definitely not 20 years ago, And that is such a powerful tool because everything that you do is a learning tool, and you can use that to kind of work on your next campaign or your next project, or figure out how to serve the customer better. We do personalized emails. So with, as people are buying online or, on the app, if we've got, Pampers that comes in and says, we've got some money to spend, we can target those people who we know, have purchased Pampers within the last 7 days, 10 days, 20 days. So, if you don't use the research or the data that you have, then you're missing out. Yeah.
To summarize here for the small to medium business, there's a little comparison here. One is that most of the time we're saying, hey, specialize in one or two areas, whether it's flyers, whether it's community events, whether it's Facebook ads, whatever it is, because you're limited. This is exact opposite. This is 23 stores in a very tight area, and you're talking about a 360 or an integrated marketing approach, which is a little bit up, but it's still the same fundamentals in that you have to put stuff out, you got to A/B test, and you got to measure, and then you got to go in and analyze all your data.
But even with small businesses, every town has a town Facebook page, or your medium, you've got, weekly shows with the different towns, even the park district. The funds are not unlimited, but they can definitely get the message out by posting on the Town of Munster page or by putting a flyer in the grocery store. Not everything has to have a lot of dollars in back of it, but if you know your customer and you be a little creative on how to get the word out there, it's just as effective, quite honestly.
You are parroting Matt Hansen. His whole theory about this whole podcast is not everything. I think I wrote down, not everything has to have a bunch of dollars behind it. And if you listen to all these 36 episodes, you'll figure out that that's a major attitude. So even at this level, Matt, it's the same idea.
There's ideas that you can do for free, and there's ideas that are going to cost you a fortune. So, you just figure out what works for you, what works best for your customers. You're talking about data a ton. There's an old story. I don't know if you know this story, but are you familiar with the father and the data for Target? Okay.
No.
So there's a story, and I don't have the source for it. I've heard it multiple times from different places. But the idea was Target collects information like you do at Strachan Van Til. So they understand what people are buying, and they tie it back to, the red card, which they have. You have, your mobile app and things like that. Well, there was I want to say it was an 18-year-old that had the red card, and they noticed a bunch of purchases that are typical for somebody that is having a baby. Mm-hmm. The father gets upset because he gets a baby registry mailer sent to his daughter at home, walks into the Target and talks to the manager and is just, angry. Comes back another week or two later, and I apologize if I don't have it exact, but this is the story. Comes back a week or two later and apologizes to the manager and said, "I didn't know." So the data from the red card triggered the baby registry, and the father didn't even know what was going on at home. So what we're saying is the data will actually show a bunch of different things. That's a unique example, but those are the types of things that when we're looking through data, we can start to understand things. I've talked with other grocers in the past that have all of this data and they just didn't use it. And you just kind of, why aren't you using it? Because you could do so many different things with it. But it sounds like you're doing it.
That's a weekly email we do now. With our online coupons and online shopping, our customers will get a personalized email with the offers based on past purchases. So if we have Coke on sale or Aunt Millie's bread or, grapes, and we see that you purchase them, we will make sure that you see it's on sale again so to go in store and get it. So personalized ads are really big for us. It's a priority.
How can a small business do that, Matt?
Yeah, I mean, we've talked about collecting the right data and putting it out there. It doesn't have to be a dynamically built email, which is basically what you're talking about. I've dealt with dynamically built emails that have 51 different variables in it. That's enormous and a kind of a headache. But I've also dealt with large businesses like Walmart, and I've seen their email size, and they'll have millions and millions that they'll send one offer, but then they'll have 10,000 people that receive something else. What we're saying is you don't necessarily have to build a dynamic email, but you want to segment properly. So if you mentioned Coke and Aunt Millie's and all of these, if those are types of products that they're buying, and that they buy them every single week or every other week, you can start to make sure that those types of emails are going to those individuals. Now, I get it that you're probably not selling Coke and Aunt Millie's bread to everyone that's out there, but you have certain products that are being sold to unique people, right? So go back to a florist. Maybe they buy Mother's Day. Mother's Day is right now, and maybe they're buying every year. They buy flowers for mom. Okay, well that is something that should trigger, right? In an email, you should say, okay, this person typically buys Mother's Day flowers. Let's get that email out there. Father's Day is coming up, same thing, right? Memorial Day, Labor Day, it doesn't matter, but those are all different holidays that you can play into and start to send that information out to those unique individuals that typically purchase on that site.
But then I'm going to use the example, we do the bridal fair out at Blue Chip to promote floral in our weddings, and, a lot of vendors do, big, small, but we always we ask people to sign up with their email, who have showed up, and then we follow up with, hey, thanks for attending. And the email, database could maybe 25, 30, or it could be 200, but there is a connection already, and it costs nothing to copy those email addresses into an email and even give them an offer. You know what? Here's $100 off your bridal order or $50 off a DJ service. So again, it's one of those things that anybody can do, and there's very little money, that you have to put out for it.
And that is the theme here, very little money for your marketing. And it's kind of cool to see you talking about, well, you didn't use the term, but the dynamically built email, which is the next level up. Most small to medium businesses are going to send out standard ones. They may have some segmentation to the market, but it's not necessary. Right. And so we're talking with Renee Thometz of Strachan Van Til, 23 stores. But you have a lot of different brands that come in, and some of them are local brands. Mm-hmm. What do you say to those local brands when they come into the store about how do you have any suggestions for them, how they might market their smaller brand?
Quite honestly, a lot of them are doing the same thing we're doing. You've got Lando Frost and you've got Dutch Farms who, are big sponsors of the food bank. They are big into youth sports. Lando Frost sponsors the soccer league over, for the Munster Park District. Even bigger, kind of local, you've got Coke, who right now, they're doing a Share a Coke program with the local bottler. Anytime you buy it, during the next 2 months, they're donating $1 to the food bank, up to $10,000. So I think brands, whether small or larger, understand the importance of being involved in the community, and then that translates into, customers and relationships and loyalty. And, I know, like for me, I will definitely support any business who supports the community, and many people do the same. So there are a lot who do that.
Is there anything you would warn the small to medium-sized business that's trying to get the word out to maybe take a second look at or maybe avoid, or some things that you've seen that, maybe you don't want to do that?
It's everything, I think, is trial and error. I know for us, we're still dabbling in things that we're trying, to see if it works or not. Recently, we just started advertising on the theaters, like at AMC and the Portage, and we would throw a commercial up and put a QR code in there. It was January, February, and March. Something new. Everybody goes to the movie theaters. Let's see how this works. Well, it didn't, there were 3 people who clicked on the QR code. So I don't know that anybody should be discouraged by trying something new, but at least we tried it. We know that medium doesn't work for us. And then you just continue to grow it, in somewhere else. We were just saying earlier, social media is always a beast, and I would be careful with social media because sometimes, it goes viral for good or for bad. So make sure if you are marketing on socials that it is the right message. And if it does get shared, that in no way that it could be construed as harmful or distorted or come back to get you, Which, I try not to. But
what is exactly the term, the marketing term for that? For like putting something on social media and then being kind of maybe your ad runs in front of some really controversial thing. You're polluting the brand at times by doing that.
It's an association.
Yeah, it's a brand association, right. And you do have to worry about that. One of the things that you and I have talked about, if you guys know the relationship, we are sitting in the Strachan Van Til studios on the campus of Purdue Northwest, and we've been good partners. My radio station's 101 years old. They're, 94?
96 it 96. Will be. Yeah, this year.
Wow, I remember when we were doing the 85-year-old ad, but 96, and we're 101. So we kind of align with values and with audience and so forth. But you have mentioned to me in other discussions about the pivot to local. What does that mean?
Again, it goes back to just knowing your audience and the community. Even like at our corporate office, the majority of the people have grown up in the community. They know the community. All of our store directors too. Whether it's, again, North Store, South stores, all of our locations, we're involved in the local Chamber of Commerce, Rotary Club, different Lions Club. So pivoting to local is
not
just
something you've always been there.
It's
but
not,
others are doing
it's
it.
not pivoting. I think for us right now, it's just continuing to do more, for that. Again, with the food bank, we're, very, very involved with the food bank and their mobile markets. And you'll see our ads in different churches. We support all the schools. Whether it's on a scoreboard or whether it's local little leagues, softball leagues, soccer leagues. It's just, what can we do more to make Northwest Indiana a better place to live?
So, Matt, sum this up. What can the small to medium business learn from what Renee just said about community engagement?
Yeah, you have to embrace your community. You have to be part of it. We've done multiple episodes and kind of bits and pieces along the way. I remember the one we did about becoming a local celebrity and just kind of being everywhere all at once. And I think that's what you guys are doing. I see the logo everywhere I go. I see, whether it's a billboard or I'm online, I see a display ad that pops up. I'm on social, I see something else. You're everywhere, and that's that 360 approach that you were talking about. But, you are the embodiment of our community. Even though Aldi has come in and Jewel is here and a variety of others, when you think of a grocery store in our area, the first name that pops up is you. Let's be honest. So to be that, you have to embody that community. You have to be part of it. No matter where you go, and that's kind of the job that you've been given. Moving from the radio station to this, it's now you need to be everywhere, and I don't know what size team you have, but hopefully it's big enough that you can do that, right? But
it's very small,
right.
But we do our best.
Yeah,
yes.
But that's what I mean. From a community perspective, we tell everyone that you need to be out there. People need to know you, and that community doesn't have to be as big as your area that you're dealing with. It could literally be a neighborhood that you just, if you're a real estate agent and you want to sell in that neighborhood, make sure that every single person in that neighborhood knows who you are. Continually, every single month, you're hitting them, you're targeting them with something else. And that's what we're talking about. Community is just really understand that you have to be integrated into it. You can't
That's
just
actually
pretend.
a campaign we run. Welcome to the neighborhood.
Yeah.
We get data again because the area is booming. It's just it's crazy how many houses and residentials coming up. But we will serve them different ads, or we'll send them a flyer to their new address. And whether they know us or not, when they move in, they definitely will. When they do, because it is important that welcome to the neighborhood. Yeah.
We're up against the clock here, but here we are, and a lot of people listen in other areas, but we're in Indiana, just to the south of Chicago, and there's an iron curtain between Indiana and Illinois. It didn't used to be that way, but now it is. Renee grew up in Illinois. Lansing and Munster were kind of like the same community, and now they're not. So when somebody comes over from South Holland or East Hazelcrest or whatever and buys a house here, they might not know your brand at all. And so that initial exposure is important. Ultimately, you have two really big marketing geeks sitting on my beautiful couch here, and Matt Hansen, of course, with P&W, a digital marketing professor, and Renee Thometz, formerly of Teeny Bopper Radio, and now working for one of the more trusted brands in the Midwest. And I appreciate both of you. So thanks a lot.
Thank you.
And this is episode 36, Mastering Local Marketing. Tell somebody about it. Until next time, we'll see you later.
The Mastering Local Marketing podcast helps local small business owners like you understand what it takes to successfully market your business and drive new customers through your doors. We provide actionable insights, interview leading experts and business owners in various industries, as well as provide tips and tricks we've uncovered over the last 25 years in the field. Whether you're starting your business or you've been at it for decades, let us provide you with the education and resources you need to grow your customer base. It's time to start mastering your local marketing.
Warning, the following ZipRecruiter radio spot you are about to hear is going to be filled with F-words. When you're hiring, we at ZipRecruiter know you can feel frustrated, forlorn even, like your efforts are futile, and you can spend a fortune trying to find fabulous people, only to get flooded with candidates who are just fine. Fortunately, ZipRecruiter figured out how to fix all that. And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/zip. With ZipRecruiter, you can forget your frustrations because we find the right people for your roles fast, which is our absolute favorite F word. In fact, 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day.
Fantastic.
So, whether you need to hire 4, 40, or 400 people, get ready to meet first-rate talent. Just go to ZipRecruiter.com/zip to try ZipRecruiter for free. Don't forget, that's ZipRecruiter.com/zip. Finally, that's ZipRecruiter.com/zip.